Hello, everyone. This is Mr. Gomez stopping by on a Thursday evening in order to give you some pointers on essay number one that is due next Monday night, and is the reason why we only have one assignment tonight so that you can start looking around, start formulating your ideas. And what I want to introduce you today is to some pre-writing strategies when it comes to essay writing, because what we want to avoid is starting an essay 5 hours before it's due. I know we've all done it before, and probably one of the best concepts I can introduce you in terms of writing academic essays is that it's a process that begins long before the due date. So in a minute, we'll talk about pre-writing strategies, and at the end, I'll throw some sample thesis statements that you can use. But first, let's look at the prompt itself. Right here in your directions, you're going to notice that I ask you to do some reading, uh, not only to inform your understanding of literacy narratives, but also because you're going to be quoting from these in your essay. I've asked you to quote twice. You're either going to quote Richard Rodriguez, Gerald Graff, or Adichie, whose essay we read the other night. And so in this PDF here, you'll find at the end of chapter one, Richard Rodriguez literacy narrative and Gerald Graff's literacy narrative. Go ahead and read those, okay? And as you look through this prompt, what I can tell you is whenever you get a prompt for an essay, it's probably a good idea to go sit in a quiet space and take some notes. Make sure you understand it. Okay, and you'll see here's the special requirement right here. In your essay, you must integrate at least two quotes from Rodriguez, Graff, or Adichie. So pick two of those and quote them in your body paragraphs. And since we haven't covered works cited pages, I'll throw up the citations for those before the weekend's over. Okay, so what I wanted to talk about now is this idea of pre-writing strategies. Okay, and so there's a lot of things you can do before you start writing. You never want to sit down at the computer and just start typing out your essay with some kind of roadmap without having engaged this conversation. And in our particular case, it's this conversation on reading strategies. And so, one thing to do, like I said, as soon as you get your prompt, you can go make notes. You could also free write. Uh, Sit down and write, follow this sentence frame. What I know about literacy narratives is. Okay, take it from there. Free write for 5, 10 minutes. See what comes up. Another thing you could do is you could do idea clusters. Okay, because this asks you to investigate your own literacy development. Okay, reading, writing, speaking, listening, hearing, those types of things. And by the time we get to college, we have a lifetime of learning involved in those areas. And so for some of us, it's been an easy road. For others, it's been traumatic. We have a lot of English as a second language students. We have students with disabilities, oral or speaking, or impediments that doesn't make English classes or reading and writing very easy. So when you look at your literacy narrative, it's basically to take stock of where you're at a place and at a time where reading and writing is going to be an increasing part of your life. Okay, so here's what it looks like. I did an idea cluster for me. Okay, I just take a piece of paper, and in the middle is my literacy development. Up here I got speaking, writing, reading, artistic projects. I got past, present, college, and career. Okay, I got little branches shooting off. For example, when I talk about my past, um, I talk about how in my household growing up, we always had almanacs. My dad was a farmer, and we always subscribed to Time and Newsweeks. So I got those magazine covers stuck in my head from all the way back in the early 80s. And then I also think of how I was a prolific reader because I loved the newspaper. I delivered the newspaper, and I liked to read it. And over here, I won a third grade reading contest. And over here, I mentioned I lost interest in reading for a while and it was rekindled in college. That sort of thing. You could take stock of your reading, writing, past, future, present, kind of see where you're going. Another thing you could do is, in terms of pre-writing strategies, is you want to do some background reading, okay? And in this case, I kind of provided it for you with Rodriguez, Graff, and Adichie. But also do some internet searches. What is a literacy narrative? What are its components? Okay. And another thing you could do is once you begin to think about that, you got some free writing, you're starting to engage this conversation, you can work on a rough thesis, just something to hold your essay together, right? And once you got your thesis, you can make an outline, right, of what moves you'll make. And this is a simple essay. It's only 3 pages long, so it's like a 5 paragraph essay. Okay. But think about what your story is and how you can make a thesis statement, something that's argumentative. It's a narrative, so it's not over the top, super strong claim, but it's a claim about your relationship with reading and writing. So before I go, let me throw out 5 example thesis statements. And this is in their first version. Remember, you're always adjusting a thesis statement. You begin with one, develop your body paragraphs, come back, make it match your body paragraphs, always revising from a rough thesis to a working thesis to a complete thesis to a complex thesis, okay? But here's 5 of them. Early version, okay? 1. In terms of my literacy development, my life was irrevocably changed by a series of mentors who championed reading and writing. 2. My experience with the English classes was two-faced, driven by an insatiable thirst to read as a child and a dislike for writing as an adult. 3. My development was marked by a household that spoke Spanish and by my nightmarish transition into ESL and having to learn English at the age of 14. 4. My literacy development was carefully watched over by my mother, the English teacher, and a dad who practiced as a professional writer. 5. My literacy development was defined by anxiety in the classroom, dyslexia, and parents who could care less about how I did in school. Okay, we all have a little story in terms of our literacy. Sit down, define what yours is, and write a 3 page essay. Okay, I just wanted to say that because it's due 4 days from now, and it'll probably take you 4 days to write. If you got questions, email me. Have a great 4th of July. I added an assignment to tomorrow's module, exercise with commas and run-on sentences. And you might want to, if you want to know why I did that, it's because those are the most common mistakes I see. Use a period, for God's sake, or a semicolon, or a coordinating conjunction. But remember, a comma doesn't have the power to hold together 2 independent clauses. And we won't do a lot of grammar in this class, but that's the one we will do. Okay, thanks. I'll see you guys later.